It's 7:30 in the evening of Tuesday with Chewy
and Jesse
here at YouthTalks, where we go for gold. At magandang gabi sa ating mga tagapakinig sa radyo at mga tagapanood namin sa Facebook page. Welcome to another episode of YouthTalks, kung saan nakikinig tayo ng mga storya ng pagsubok ng may kasamang pag-asa at kasiyahan. And we're here, nagbabalik ang inyong paboritong tambalang si Jesse at si Chewy. And of course, Jesse, this is our
last episode.
This is our season ender ng aming season 1, kung saan magbibigay kami ng konting recap.
Yes.
No? A little synthesis, no? Usually may mga guest kayo, pero mabigat yung guest namin ngayon.
Malakasan yung ating guest tonight.
Pamalakasan ng guest namin for tonight. At ang kasama namin ngayong gabi to synthesize everything about season 1 ng mga pinag-usapan nating pagsubok is none other than Father Yonis himself. Father
Yonis myself. And good evening to me. I'm very happy to be doing. I launched the first episode and now I'm closing the first season.
Yes.
Congratulations, everyone.
Yes.
We made it. No, we finished our first season already. That's been what, 15 episodes, 14 episodes, and this is the 15th episode for the first season. And for the first season of Youth Talks, we invited several guests to join us at pag-usapan ano ba yung mga common struggles ng mga kabataan ngayon. At doon sa mga episodes na yun, napanood ko lahat yon. Although I'm not here with you, pero lahat ng episodes na yon, nasubaybayan ko at napanood at inintindi. At nakita natin doon yung iba't ibang pinagdadaanan ng mga kabataan sa panahon natin ngayon. And for tonight, as we synthesize the first season, ang sosyal.
synthesize.
May pa-synthesize, no? Syempre, hindi natin papalagpasin yung buong season na hindi natin ika-capture ano ba yung essence ng lahat ng pinag-usapan natin with our guests. And I'm sure may mga tumatak na mga guests sa ating lahat.
Yeah.
And tonight, we're just going to put a synthesis into it. And to do that, i-divide natin yung episodes, i-classify natin yung episodes into 4, no? Yung intrapersonal struggles, interpersonal struggles, metapersonal struggles, and then the theopersonal struggles. Kasi lahat naman nito ay mga may kinalaman sa relasyon.
Yeah.
Intrapersonal, relasyon sa
Sarili.
sarili. Interpersonal, relasyon sa
Ibang tao.
dahil nga ito ay recitation ngayong gabi.
Gulat ako na.
Metapersonal ay relasyon
Society.
sa society and the larger world. And theopersonal is relationship sa
With God.
with God. At lahat ng to narinig natin sa mahigit 100 mga guests at kanilang mga struggles at pinagdaanan. At ngayong gabi, babalikan natin bawat isa na yan. Let's start with the intrapersonal. Ano yung mga tumatak sa inyo na episodes? Who were the guests
Sige.
sa mga episodes na
Ikaw
yun?
muna, Jesse.
For me, it's yung self-worth with Lyra. Kasi it's, am I good enough ba? Am I doing well in life? I think that's one of the episodes na nagtatak sa akin with...
Saan siya nakatatak?
Dito. May
Ang dami
place na dito.
Ang dami naman palang tatak nun. Sige, ano yung tumatak sa'yo dun sa self-worth discussion? Conditional self-worth yun.
It's more on the yung self-worth ko ba ay nakabatay sa ibang tao. But also yung hope about na despite sa mga struggles, sa validations ng ibang tao, at the end of the day, did I find my purpose along the way? Maybe hindi ko man nahahanap yung purpose ko and meron pang self-worth na hinihingi pa sa ibang tao. But still, it is a process. So yun for me.
So yung conditional self-worth, no? Ang nangyayari doon, you're seeking validation from others. Yung alam mo may galing ka, alam mo may kakayanan ka, alam mo may talento ka, alam mo meron ka. But yung struggle to actually seek or maghanap ng validation from other people. But to address that, it's very important, yung internal validation. Kasi kahit na anong sabihin ko sa'yo, Chewy, na Chewy, ikaw yung best man ko. if you don't self-validate at hindi mo tatanggapin na magaling ka, wala pa rin mangyayari sa validation ng iba. That's Lyra's conditional self-worth.
At parang totoo.
Episode. Diba? Nakaka-relate ka? Nakaka-relate kayong dalawa, di ba? At this point ba, inakikita nyo na magaling kayo?
Bits by bits, a little by little, I can see naman na talaga. Kasi it's the matter of accepting talaga eh.
Yeah.
In that episode of Lyra talaga nakita ko yung sarili ko on the shoes of Lyra as well. Ganun ako competitive before, ganun ako But to find the purpose and to find meaning in life, I think that's one way that I saw na I have beautiful attributes in myself na kailangan ko tanggapin na okay, magaling ako sa mga ganitong bagay.
Natatanggap mo na?
Yes.
In the scale of 1 to 10, gaano mo nakatanggap? Ang hirap kapag kausap niya psychologist, no? Pinapascale. In the scale of 1 to 10, gaano mo na kayang i-internally validate yung sarili mo?
I'm on the scale of 1 to 10, I'm on a 7.
7.
I'm on a 7. It's still a long way ahead.
Yeah.
But at least lagpas na ako. Kasi before, kung ako tatanungin, it's just 2.
Grabe naman yung 2.
Ba talaga?
Kung ganyan itsura ko, perfect na ako. Tapos 2 ka lang. Kakabwisit din to eh.
Kung ganyan, natalino ko, malamang 10 na. Ano ko sa sarili ko?
Ikaw, Jess, in the scale of 1 to 10, nasan ka na dun sa internal validation, yung unconditional self-worth?
6 to 7.
6 to
6.5
7.
siguro.
Binutalan mo.
Oo, para iba, unique. Pero 7 lang din yan.
So, nasa na ka rin.
Yeah,
So,
nasa 7.
at your age na, and then that's quite a fair self-rating. Kasi nga, mga bata pa naman kayo. You're both in your mid-20s and there's still a lot to discover about the self. So, you give room for the self-discovery pa din. And that's very good. Another episode that struck you in relation to sa intrapersonal relationship?
I really like when we had Remar as a guest.
Oy!
Yung sexual identity, yung sexual orientation.
Yes.
It was a very good episode for me kasi I heard the story from another perspective. No? Na we see naman, di ba, the LGBTQ community, we see them smiling, very happy, very active. Pero back in their backstories, yung mga ganun pala. Like, I can remember Remar telling us na yung nagsuot siya ng bra, tapos nahuli siya ng tatay. Tapos wala siya nag-react. Kasi di ba ang signal niya na nandyan na ang
Yung
father
binabato
niya.
yung bubong.
Yung bubong. Yung binabato.
Actually, napaka-considerate nung tatay niya. Siyempre,
Okay, prepare ka muna.
yung parang alam na siguro ng tatay niya eh. Hindi pa naman usong CCTV, saka feeling ko wala pang kuryente sa kanila. No? So, wala pang CCTV. So, but very considerate. No?
Yeah. And then, yung episode na yun, I saw how one person became true to oneself. No? Hindi niya pinilit na, he was born as a man, pero hindi niya pinilit yung hindi siya. He accepted himself, and at the end, nakita natin na tinanggap siya ng family niya, tinanggap siya ng friends niya, which nag-lead sa at peace ni Remar.
It was a coming out story.
Yeah.
It was a coming out story, and what's good about Remar was, syempre natakot siya. Natakot pa rin siya about tatanggapin ba ako, paano ba ako i-embrace ng mga tao. Ngayon, he's in the university and he's more at ease with himself being part of the LGBTQ community. Pero syempre, hindi nawala yung fear. What struck you about the story of Remar's coming out of the
The
shell?
bravery. I think it's the bravery. Kasi syempre, before, syempre, judge naman talaga yung mga LGBTQ community.
Social niya, sabi niya George.
Hindi ko kasi alam yung Tagalog dun. Or even, maybe ngayon, meron pa din namang parang mga say about them. Pero, it's the
Biases,
bravery.
stereotypes.
The bravery na despite, kasi ako ito. Yun yung tumatak sa akin. Kasi ako ito. Hindi nila pwedeng diktahan kung ano yung sinasabi nila sa akin. Ako ito. This is me.
Yes.
Parang ganun.
Yes. So yung building of identity and yung relationship with the self kasi very important as we age, especially for young adults such as you guys na unti-unti, ma-define nyo, sino ba ako?
Yeah.
And that's part of it. But of course, identity is not only just sexual identity. It's only part of it. It's not the whole of it.
Yeah.
No? Kasi ang nagiging karanasan ng mga maraming kabataan who have to identify their sexual identity is yung feeling nila, ay, dahil ganito yung sexual orientation ko, hindi ako normal, and therefore hindi ako saktong tao,
Yeah.
hindi ako tamang tao. But no, you don't generalize your sexual identity to your whole person identity. Because sexual identity is only part of your person. It's not the totality of who you are. No? And ang importante lang doon is, yes, we all seek for acceptance, pero if you don't get to accept yourself, kahit na gaano ka ka-accepted ng mga tao, but you don't accept yourself, and then that's going to be a lifelong struggle for you. So that's the story that we got from Remar, exploring his sexual identity, confirming it for himself.
Yeah.
No, kasi hindi kinonform ng iba sa kanya yun. Siya talaga nag-decide, okay, I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and ito ako eh. Ito ako, at walang ibang magdi-define sa akin. So we're glad for Remar that he got to identify himself and really seal for himself, eto ako. No matter
Imagine
what.
in public, in a live view, in the radio na sabi niya.
Yung iniisip niya, tatanggapin ba siya? Pero nakalimutan din niya na bago pa yon ay mahal na siya. No? So whatever identity you reveal to people who are important to you, bago ka pa nag-reveal, ang importante doon is minahal ka na bago ka pa nagbigay ng revelation. No? So that's a sexual identity, and many of the teenagers struggle with that, young adults struggling with that. Yung pinaka-struggle talaga is not really coming out. It's really self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Kasi gano'n naman na identity. Gano'n naman identity. Another episode that natumatak sa inyo.
Failure, yung kay Sheena.
Failure. Give it a context. Ano yung failure that Sheena went through?
Failure of the board exam. Yung dumaan siya sa, yung first take niya sa kanyang LPT. And going on a journey of LPT. Nagkaroon siya ng kanyang...
For the viewer's sake, what's LPT?
LPT, licensed professional teacher.
Ang galing.
Marunong.
Sabi mo, pa-exam ngayong araw.
Nag-review.
Yeah, yung parang I can relate about it. Especially sa mga CPA licensure exam. Those nakakukuha. Maybe ako din one day. Will I take the same struggle, yung failure? Will I question God na bakit gano'n?
1 day lang ba o 2 days? Chor.
3 days.
Joke.
3 days. 3 days ang exam. Parang gano'n. Yung fear na mag-fail about it. Especially, ginusto mo, tapos hindi ka matutuloy. But, one thing, there is always hope about it even after. Nung nakapasa na si Sheena. So maybe there is
on the
hope
second
again.
take.
Yeah, on the second
take. And we know na ang dami na nagre-retake, not just twice, thrice. Some would even, meron akong narinig who has been taking the board exam for 12 years already. 12 times already. At hindi pa rin siya pumapasa. Pero nagte-take pa rin siya.
Wow.
Nagte-take
The
pa rin
courage.
siya. And, you know, parang, that's really, parang mas nakakabilib pa yon kesa dun sa mga unang nag-take and pumasa. Kasi the tenacity, the
grit na.
grabe yun.
Sige.
Yung determinasyon, yung commitment to actually succeed in it. Paulit-ulit, madadapa, pero paulit-ulit na babangon din. And that's what's very important. I remember, I think I mentioned it before, Father Ben Gomez, OMI, once told me, alam mo, Yonis, nakakahiyang madapa. Pero alam mo anong mas nakakahiya? Yung nadapa ka, tapos hindi ka bumangon. And that's really a lesson that we take from young people who experience a lot of failures, pero bumangon. Kasi ang importante lang naman, bangon eh. So, we're very proud of Sheena. And for all people out there, young people out there, who are struggling, for example, with exams, with board exams, with failures, sige lang. We know it's difficult, we know it's painful, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, pero bangon lang. Retake, and that's fine.
Narinig mo
Wala nang retake.
And then finally, there was another episode that's related to intrapersonal relationship. Eh. What was that episode? The very first episode.
Yeah,
with
this
the
was
guest.
the very first episode with Bella, the college life struggle. Yung the transitioning period from, kumbaga, I remember the story talaga of Bella. Yung grabe yung lahat ng anxieties and worries niya. Kasi she came from Cotabato and then going to a new environment in Luzon. And then she had to find new friends, find ways para kung paano mag-survive as a college student.
Paano mabuhay mag-isa.
Paano mabuhay mag-isa. Siya daw nagluluto, na nasanay siya na yung family niya nagluluto sila, and then now napalayo siya, so siya maghahanap ng ways para makapagluto, how to manage the schedule without yung family, kasi yung family members ang naging foundation niya ng home. So now here's another perspective na nasa isang lugar ka without your home beside you.
So this is a struggle of transitions. Yeah. At lahat tayo, we go through different transitions in life. And ito, yung mga from high school to college. Yeah. Lalo na pag magka-college ka na sa ibang lugar, ma-uproot ka kung saan ka nanggaling. That's very difficult, no? And transition struggles is real, real. They're difficult, they're challenging. But it's just important that you know what you want to do in life, what you wish to accomplish in life. Kaya yung direction will be important. So all this, no, we tackled these topics during the first season of the Youth Talks, and in terms of intrapersonal relationship struggles, we talked about self-worth, sexual identity, handling failures, and managing life transitions. And with all this, we remember, for example, putting it into a theoretical framework using Adler. Yung kay Adler kasi, he tells us that we all experience a sense of inferiority. A sense of inferiority. This inferiority feelings, all of us really do encounter. Lalo na yung, I'm not enough, I might not be accepted, I might not be able to make it. All these are manifestations of our inferiority inside. But what's needed lang talaga, especially for young people out there, if you're experiencing that sense of inferiority, know also the other side of the coin. And that's growth. No? Because growth happens through striving to overcome inferiority. No? And for Adler, for example, he tells us na, oh, yes, we might be feeling inferior, but we can strive for success. We can strive for superiority, and that means finding significance in what we do and who we become with others. So that's why important na habang tumatanda, no, we become engaged in real life situations, in communities, para makita natin yung sarili natin. And for the young people, know that when you're experiencing inferiority, that's fine. That's even normal. What's important is you get to overcome them and be able to say, oh, I felt inferiority at some points in my life, but I strived to find my significance and my purposeful existence. Just to close that.
You've been there, no?
Of course.
Nakikita ko yung pag-share. Grabe yung pag-share.
May dalang-dala.
Okay.
Of course, I experienced it myself, and you know, it's a constant struggle really to overcome. But just to synthesize the intrapersonal topics that we had for season 1, remember, young people, that behind every insecurity is really a deeper desire. And what's that deeper desire? The desire to belong, the desire to matter, the desire to be seen, the desire to overcome our inferiorities, for us to become integrated persons. And importante lang, yes, babagsak, papangon lang. Now we go to the next. Interpersonal relationships. What were our episodes for the interpersonal relationships? Remember? Kasi puro family yun.
Yeah. I can remember one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's either the third or the second episode. It was with Senya.
Sa Senya, pinaiyak ako ng malala.
It was with Senya.
Yung pinakamalala kong iyak na episode, yung parang 1 hour na natapos, pero umiiyak pa rin ako. Senya, shout out to you. But really appreciated that story.
It was the growing up without a father, yung kay Senya. What made me, kumbaga, love that story is the way naramdaman ko, hindi ko man siya naramdaman, but I can only imagine yung point na tinanong si Senya, nasaan ang tatay mo? Where is your father? Habang nakikita niya yung mga friends niya na meron, tapos siya wala. I can remember ang sasabihin niya na
Nalumos sa sabaw.
Nalumos sa sabaw.
Nalunod sa sabaw.
yun lagi, yun daw yung sinasagot niya. But for her, parang una, wala lang. Parang it's a joke. Pero parang patagal daw ng patagal. Lately niya na-realize. Yan. Parang lumaki ako ng walang father. Nasaan yung father ko na yon? Where is that father of mine? Yun talaga yung nag-hit sa akin sa story na yun. Yung the longing for a father. Iba pa rin, iba pa rin syempre pag lumaki ka ng kumpleto ang parents mo. But that feeling na parang incomplete. There's something that's incomplete about her identity nang wala yung father niya.
Yeah, and I experienced that myself, no. Siyam kami magkakapatid, and then nung pinanganak yung bunso namin na kambal, a few years after, our father left us. So iniwan kami ni Daddy. And growing up, it was really something that shaped me. Yung sense of abandonment in the family, it shapes who you become when you grow older. And so, I certainly was able to relate kay Senya that night. Kaya ako iyak na iyak siguro, no. I was able to recognize that void in me perhaps that was reminded by the story of Senya. But yeah, whatever happens in the family kasi lalo na yung sense of abandonment, it shapes who we become, no. Relate ka din.
Relate din ako.
Nakita mo na.
Yeah, yung about yung questions na nasan yung father mo along the way. Maybe merong mga instances na magsasabi ka na hindi mo alam yung sasabihin. Hindi ko rin alam yung sasabihin. But relating to it, it's not about sino yung nagpalaki or sino yung gumawa. But it's about paano mo i-build yung story mo from it.
Yeah. At paano mo gagamitin yung story na yan to make a difference in your own life and in the life of others. And Senya, that was a beautiful story na nag-inspire sa ating lahat na yes, there might be a sense of incompleteness inside, but it doesn't mean that we cannot be integrated. No? Abandonment in the family, that's a painful experience.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that when we are abandoned by somebody in the family, that we won't be able to build a life of completeness and integrity, because out from that story, we can build a life that is full, and the life that is full we build for ourselves can become a story for others to be inspired and become whole themselves as well. So kudos to Senya for that wonderful story. It was a painful abandonment story, but nonetheless an inspiring one. Another episode.
It's about the second to the last of the season 1, which is the story of Dawn, which is yung ang pagiging ampon.
Pagiging ampon.
Yeah. It was a heartwarming story na kung saan pinag-usapan yung paano siya pinaampon sila magkakapatid dun sa kanyang parang pinsan na pinapasa. But it was a story of not just pagiging ampon, but how family shaped him. Paano siya binuo ng pamilya niya. At paano niya pinasa yung mga naranasan niya sa iba't ibang klase ng pamilya sa kanyang sariling pamilya.
From one family to another kasi. So merong reshaping na nangyari. Kung yung case niya is really shaping who she was as a person. Yung kay Don naman, yung from one family, uprooted to that, then transferred to another family at naging ampon siya, that reshaped his person. Painful experience also, but Don saw it na very special moment in his life, na inampon siya at binigyan siya ng pagmamahal.
Yeah.
It
was a blessing for him, actually. Hindi siya parang hindi sa mga di ba na pagsabi para sa movies, di ba? Pag inampon ka hinanakit ang dala mo, but for Don it was a love talaga, the gratefulness of Don actually ang nanaig talaga nung episode na yan.
And I'm sure there are a lot of young people and even adults who experience yung pagiging ampon, and for all of you who have just maybe recently discovered na ampon kayo or discovered already long time ago, I know it's going to be painful because there's always something that you'll be yearning for, especially if you do not know your original roots, if hindi ka nagkaroon ng connection with them. But know also that yes, while there was a void there sa pagpapaampon, there was also a feeling of the cup na binigay ng adoptive family. Na it's just, of course, it's easier for us to say kasi hindi naman tayo mga ampon. Ako kasi hindi ako talaga mapagkakamalang ampon dahil magkakamukha kami, magkakapatid. No, so, walang chance. Pero si Don, I remember, mama mo daw yung...
Kaya nga po nagsasalita ka, naalala ko nanay ko, it was after 37 years nang malaman niya na ampon siya.
Yes.
Imagine after 37 years. And then, it was only 2 years pa. After that, 2 years pa lumipas before namin na-meet yung true family. Pero hindi rin nagtagal yung, kasi matanda na rin yung parents ni mother noon. Nalala ko yun yung time na, nagulat din ako, nag-comment yung nanay ko na your mama mo ako maampon. So it was like a moment for me na, my mother was able to say, kasi hindi niya sinishare yun, but my mother was able to say na ampon siya. So, nagulat talaga ako doon.
Yeah, so, that's an episode that showed us how adoption can reshape a person's life. Si Don kasi naampon siya, may malay na siya, may muwang na siya, no? But for others, it might be a difficult story. But nonetheless, adoption is a story of love.
Yeah.
It's a story of being rooted in a family, maybe not by blood ties all the time, but by the ties of love.
Yeah.
No? Another episode that we had, I remember, was about grief, yung namatayan.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was Ace. It was Ace who shared, namatayan siya ng kuya, ng kapatid. This was the episode where the thing about this episode is yung kuya niya na namatay was a healthy person. Talagang very healthy, nag-workout pa raw. Hindi mo ma-expect na magkakaroon ng sakit. But just one day, he died out of the blue. And then, I can remember yung grief story ni Ace. Hindi niya agad na-process yung grief. Kasi it was up to him na mag-stand as someone para makiramay sa family niya, sa parents niya. Kasi I can remember yung parents niya daw talaga, grabe nang iyak, grabe nang ano. So, he had to stand on that part na, okay, I need to be strong for my family. And then, nung moments na mag-isa na lang siya, doon na lumalabas yung iyak, doon na lumalabas yung what happened, yung biglaan talaga na. So, yeah, that was the grief of the story of Ace.
Yeah, death is a natural part of life. And all of us will be experiencing death of a loved one, of a significant person in our lives at some point. Maybe many points in our lives. Na, ikaw, you'll be spared from that fear na mamamatayan ng kapatid. Kasi solo anak ka eh.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my worst na fear.
Yeah.
Na yung mamamatayan ng kapatid.
May shield.
Yeah,
Kasi nag-iisa lang ako.
Oo. Wala ka talaga. Naturally, wala kang i-grieve na kapatid kasi mag-isa ka. But ako, siyam kami magkakapatid.
Yeah.
So, I always fear na one day may mababawas sa amin, isa aming mamatay. And I just cannot imagine how I'm going to bear it.
Yeah.
And grief in the family is really inevitable. Hindi may iwasan.
Talaga.
That's why it's very painful an experience, but it also is a great reminder for all of us that we need to really be able to cherish whatever interpersonal relationships we have with our families, with our friends, with significant people in our lives, with influencers in our lives, to really spend quality time with them. And not have regrets. Minsan kasi we take each other for granted. Especially in the family. You'll never know the extent of the pain of losing a loved one. Kaya habang nandyan yung mga importanteng mahalaga sa'yo, you really cherish and nurture the relationships. If not, there could be regrets later on. But nonetheless, death, hindi may iwasan. But the pain, the guilt, pwede yun mabawasan if we pour out our love for people that matter to us.
Cherish every moment.
Cherish every moment. That's very true. No? And then we also had 2 episodes that tackled economic difficulties in the family and carrying family obligations. No, both of them. I remember Josh and Giselle.
Yeah.
Different circumstances, different situations, pero isa lang yung tinumbok ng story ni Josh and Giselle. Yung kailangan nila magsumikap for themselves and for their families. What was impactful there? Very quick lang.
For me, it's yung kay Josh, yung despite the financial difficulties, ginamit niya yung kanyang skills. Ginamit niya yung, ang malala ko dun was the crafts.
Yung gifts niya.
Yeah, yung gifts niya. And it's not about yung current circumstance mo. Kung nasaan ka man yan. But what's important is saan yung papunta mo. Kasi yung situation naman yun is just your present.
Yeah.
But you can strive to be better in the future. For me, yun yan.
And parang hindi yun naging way din para hindi maging maganda yung relationships niya.
Yeah.
Because I remember Josh's story having very strong support systems from the family, from friends, no, who really journeyed with him and accompanied him. So hindi porket you're struggling economically, yung wala kang pera, wala kang resources, hindi ibig sabihin no na hindi ka magkakaroon ng maganda at meaningful na relationships with people. It could even be your way to establishing good relationships with others. No?
I can remember Josh telling us, mahirap ang maging mahirap, pero mas mahirap ang walang pangarap.
Beautiful.
It was their dreams na nag-push talaga sa nila. Despite of the economic difficulty, despite of the financial incapacities, yung pangarap nila ang naging foundation nila to continue moving forward in life kahit na yun yung nararanasan nila.
Yeah, I guess yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-quotable quotes during the first season. No? Yung mahirap maging mahirap, pero mas mahirap yung walang pangarap. And this goes out para sa lahat ng mga kabataan out there na nakikinig, nanonood. Don't make poverty an escape, poverty as an excuse, poverty as a block na magkaroon ng pangarap.
Yeah.
The more that you experience it, the higher your dreams can be, and the more determined you can be in life. So use yung experience nyo ng kahirapan na makaahon sa kahirapan. Mahirap kasi pag ginamit nyo yung kahirapan na mabaon lalo sa kahirapan. Pero langoyin nyo yung kahirapan na yon at umahon kayo doon using the same struggles na magbibuild ng character ninyo, na magbibuild ng pagkatao nyo towards becoming a good, great even person.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, and these are all the topics that we had for the interpersonal struggles of the youth today. Abandonment, adoption, grief, economic difficulties, carrying family obligations like Giselle. And so we see here the family systems na theory na in psych na one person's struggle is always a family story. Na sa pag-accompany natin sa mga kabataan, laging magbo-boil down sa family, sa family story. So it is always a family story. Na every one of us, every story that we have was really a family story built upon by different struggles and experiences. And that's how important the family is. So to all the parents out there, we're telling you, please, we know it's difficult to do parenting today, but also ensure that the stories of your children are worthwhile to make them good persons, to make them great persons. I always tell this, the measure of good parenting ay hindi yung kung napatapos nyo ba yung mga anak nyo sa pag-aaral. The measure of good parenting, of a successful parenting, is whether you have produced good people. So you look at your children right now, do you have good persons that you see sa mga anak nyo? Because if you see your children as good persons, you have already succeeded. And then we go to the
Quotables.
yes.
Ganda naman yun.
Grabe ang quotables.
We go now to the meta-personal struggles, no? And these are struggles in relation to the larger society, in relation to the world, no? And we had two significant stories there. Number one is, of course, Jaya.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about Jaya? Jaya is part of the Teduray community.
Yes.
Indigenous people
And may nalaman
community.
kami doon.
Mhm.
Yung Fyo
Fyo
Klongonon.
Fyo-
Oh, it's good evening. Hindi ko alam kung tama yun. Pero,
Fyo Klongonon.
Oo, tama. Yeah, it was a story of how she empowered yung community. She is empowered by her values and culture.
Being in a minority.
Yeah.
Yes, parang she embodies yung kanilang culture and values. And sinishare niya rin dun sa ibang tao. That's the highlight of the Jaya story.
Na despite being part of a minority of an indigenous people tribe, it doesn't mean that she cannot set her identity.
Yeah.
No? Truly.
Yeah.
Yung authentic identity
Yeah.
niya. Hindi niya kasi kinahiya na Teduray siya. Hindi niya kinahiya na IP siya. Hindi niya kinahiya na galing siya sa minority. But what she did was actually to root herself sa values, traditions, kultura ng pagiging Teduray. Because there are beauties in every single tribe, in every people. There's beauty, there's truth, there's goodness. And yun yung ginawa ni Jaya na yung, Teduray ako, but it doesn't mean na I cannot be my person.
Yeah.
And my person is a Teduray person. And she's been an inspiration to her community, especially to the young members of her community. What struck you there, kay Jaya?
It was, yun nga, I was very proud of her. Kasi grabe yung ganong experience, no? But kahit na kung anong pinagdaanan nila, she never failed to inspire her community to show themselves, show their culture, show their tribe. Kasi di ba I can remember yung nakwento niya, di ba sa university nila, they have yung group.
Ano nga yun? Kalimutan ko.
Yeah,
Basta
they have the
yung
so-called group na mga
Ay,
Teduray.
bagsak kayo, hindi niyo maalala.
They have the so-called
Basta wala ako dito nung
kami yun.
Yun talaga. This is on you. Jaya, I'm so sorry. They forgot the name of the group. But yes.
Yeah, they have the so-called group na yung kumbaga Teduray community representing their tribe all over the whole city. Actually, hindi lang city. It was all over talaga eh. Na hindi sila, na this is our culture, this is us, this is our identity, and hindi namin kinakahiya to. No, it doesn't mean na nasa minority kami, wala kaming opportunities. Talagang grabe yung pag-strive. That was very inspiring for me na marinig from Jaya yan.
While others who might be struggling with being a minority, for Jaya, ginamit niya yon para i-build niya yung self-worth niya. And her self-worth is rooted from her being a Teduray with pride. With pride. So, to Jaya and to all the IPs out there, I lived with the Tedurays for 1 year before my ordination. So, I love the community.
Yeah.
Isang taon akong pinakain ng Teduray community sa Blala OP. Shout out to all of you. Pero isang taon nila akong kinupkok doon at inaruga. Wala pang kuryente, walang kumbento. Nakikitira lang ako sa bahay nila. Walang everything, walang signal. But you know, the love which I experienced with the Teduray community, largely of what I am now as a missionary who loves the poor, was developed through the Teduray community. So to the Teduray community, you taught me how to love as a priest. Tinuruan niyo ako magmahal bilang isang pare at tinuruan niyo ako kung paano maging totoong misyonero in the context of love. Wala kayong doctrines na tinuro sa akin. Hindi niyo ako nilecturean. Pero tinuruan niyo ako magmahal dahil minahal niyo ako. So, salamat. So, that goes out to all the minor groups, especially the IP communities all over the Philippines and even all over the world. And then, of course, we had, yes.
Naalala ko na ano yung group nila, Jaya.
Ano? Bumawi ka, ha?
Katom. Yeah, Katom.
Okay. So to all the Katom members out there, shout out to all of you. Thank you for inspiring us na as an IP people. Na. And then there was the story of Cyril na overcoming the struggles of pandemic.
Yeah.
And lahat tayo nakarelate doon.
Yeah.
Kasi lahat naman tayo ay produkto ng pandemic. Whatever we are, many parts of how we are now, no, really could be attributed to the pandemic, especially the young generation. Binuo nung pandemic yung isang shared identity na ng society ngayon. Na it's a generation shaped by crisis. And there were a lot of struggles, but the resiliency of, especially of the Filipino people, na to overcome and rise above the situation. There were a lot of things that happened, pero ang daming pangyayari. Ang daming heartaches na nangyari during daming deaths, ang daming sicknesses, syempre, illnesses, ang daming losses, ang daming grieving na nangyari during pandemic. But in the meta-personal relationship kasi, in a relationship with the larger society, with the world in general, we are always shaped by what's happening around us. Our personality, our identity is shaped by the world where we live in. The contexts, the histories, the situations, the challenges, whatever it is that's happening, yun yung nag-shape. Part yun ng pag-shape ng identity natin. And so, sa meta-personal struggles that we heard from this season, dalawa yun. Yung identity shaped by belonging to a minority group and identity shaped by crisis. Identity shaped by crisis. So, we really are deeply connected to the world, to the society, to our communities, and our connection with all this build who we are. Our belongingness allows us to flourish as individuals, allows our identities to be nurtured and to be nourished at the same time. And all this shape the greatness of who we are. So, depende talaga kung sang lens ka titingin It can either break you or make you. But always choose na whatever circumstances you are in a world like what we have right now, make it shape you. Don't let it break you. Let it make you and shape you, not only to become good, but even to become great. That's the meta-personal relationships and struggles that we tackled. And then finally, so we had intrapersonal struggles, interpersonal struggles, meta-personal struggles, and finally, we also have, very significantly, the theopersonal struggle. Yung theopersonal is how we relate with our God. And yung usapan na, it doesn't really matter dun sa usapan yung religion or faith affiliation, but the experience of an identity being shaped in faith and by faith as well. Can you recall that story?
It was Zaldi. It was Zaldi. His story was actually about yung identity and faith. It was like na he's somewhat confused na ito ang teachings ng faith ko.
And he was referring to his sexual identity.
He was referring to his sexual identity. Ito yung teachings ng faith ko. How do I reconcile it with my own identity? Na it was used, parang in some way, it was used to attack him. And then, nagkaroon siya ng confusion. My church, kumbaga, my faith is so welcoming. Faith, at the same time, nag-discriminate ako sa identity ko. How do I reconcile that? That was the main struggle of Zaldi talaga during our episode with him.
And what did you get from that? A matter of identity and faith.
I think it is despite what I get it from is, sino ba ako? And my connection with God. It doesn't matter ano yung sasabihin ng ibang tao. But importante, my connection with God and my connection with myself. That's the highlight nung episode about it. Na despite the judgment ng ibang tao, nandun pa din yung kanyang faith.
So, sino ba ako in relation to my own identity and in relation to the God that I relate with. And sometimes it could really be confusing. This is really a hot topic, really, at least
Yung mga debate
in the
pa.
Catholic Church. This is really something na quite still sensitive. Kasi there are people who are very traditionalist and fundamentalist about it. Yung babae at lalaki lang yung ginawa ng Diyos. But we might be overlooking the truth as well na lahat tayo ay ginawa ng Diyos. Maybe it was defined na babae at lalaki yung ginawa ng Diyos. But it was also defined we are all children of God. At by merit of God's love, alam natin na yung Diyos ay Diyos ng pagmamahal at pagkalinga at pagyakap at pag-aaruga, na yung pagbubuhos ng Diyos ng pagmamahal niya sa atin, yun yung nagbubuo ng malalim na identity natin as persons. It's not really just sexual identity as it is, but it is really how God forms us in whatever identity we identify ourselves with, dun sa pagiging buong tao. Yung sa pagiging yung sa pagpapakatao, yung pagiging makatao. I guess the way, I believe that the way God forms our identity is by infusing in us His own values, His own traits, His own character, His own being, para mabuo tayo. And sexual identity is only a part of that. And so let's not look at sexual identity as the totality of who we are, but as an important part of what we are, na mas mangingibabaw yung klase ng pagkatao na meron ka over klase ng sexual orientation na meron ka. So, pwedeng ikaw yung pinaka-straight na tao, pero ikaw din yung pinaka-masamang tao. So, which would matter to God? I guess it is really the contents of our hearts in the end that would matter to God. Nobody's perfect. And regardless of sexual identity, walang magiging perfectong tao. Dahil yung perfection na meron tayo is only the love that God outpours in us. So, yung grasya ng Diyos na namumutawi at ibinubuhos sa pagkatao natin. I think that's one more important aspect na pwede nating tingnan. So, dito ang hirap, yung cognitive dissonance would be important kasi makita mo yung discomfort and even yung incongruence dun sa pagtatalo ng belief, ng faith, and identity conflict. So, this is really a matter of belief and identity conflict. It could be very challenging. It causes internal tension. But we remember that the struggle here is not really the lack of faith, because Saldi showed us how
Gabi ka lakas ng faith
yung pananampalataya niya. So this really is not a struggle of having a lack of faith, but the weight of holding two truths at once. That I have this sexual orientation, but I also have this faith. How do we reconcile that? God's love.
Tapos
We always
usapan.
boil down to God's love. Sometimes it becomes a cliche, but really, in matters of life and faith, you always boil down to God's love and God's grace. And yun yung pangahawakan natin na joys and hopes in our identities. So, season 1. No, we just covered the whole season 1 and we saw the different struggles of the youth in the intrapersonal way, interpersonal relationships, metapersonal connections, and the theopersonal faith life that we have. And ang daming pinagdadaanan ng mga kabataan. Ang dami talagang pinagdadaanan. And as we close our first season, what's your main takeaway, Chewy, as we close the first season, understanding the common struggles of the youth today?
Probably from the season 1, as the host talaga, listening to the different stories na meron, ang daming pinagdadaanan ng mga kabataan na hindi natin nare-realize na pinagdadaanan din natin. Kasi when we listen to some stories, no, we just listen, for example, for example, the death, yung growing up without a father ni Sanya. I did not experience that, but a part of me is nakaka-relate sa story ni Sanya. Not in the literal sense na lumaki ako ng walang father, but in a very different way. But it showed me na, wow, even the stories of others na iba sa akin, in some way, I can relate to it. And in some way, nagagamit ko siya as a fuel to conquer the next challenges in life. And then, one thing as well, from the episodes no, na ginawa namin throughout the whole season 1, these different stories is merong na-share na pagsubok, and at the same time, they found a way to find peace with their struggles. Na hindi sila nagstay na, may pinagdadaanan ako, okay, masakit. Pero hindi sila kumbaga hindi sila nagpakulong doon. They found a way to overcome it, malagpasan na this is just a part of me, this is a lesson for me. But I will not let this struggle of mine define how I will conquer the next challenges in life.
Yeah.
Kumbaga naging susi nila yon para mas mapaganda pa yung buhay nila. That was my main takeaway from the whole season 1 na ginawa natin. It was really an honor and a privilege na makinig sa storya nila.
How about you, Jess? What's your final message na lang? As we wrap up season 1, what's your message to the young people out there?
For me, the message throughout the season 1 was or is never lose hope despite the things that is happening in your life. Throughout the season 1, we have covered the struggles of the youth, but the highlight will always be, there will always be people who will be supporting you and pulling you out dun sa situation mo. Or maybe hindi naman sila mag-pull out sa iyo, but they will be there during your hard times. We were talking about the support systems. Who are the people na kasama mo throughout your journey na magpupull sa'yo or sasamahan ka despite na nahihirapan ka. And that's a gift.
Yeah. Really a gift.
Yeah.
And for me, my final message to close this season is this. To the young people out there, you are in the process of building up your own identity. You're in the process of exploring, confirming, and sealing whatever identity it is that you are forming for yourself. Always remember how important it is to take care of the 4 important relationships in life. Your intrapersonal relationship, that's how you relate with yourself. Your interpersonal relationship, how you relate with others. Your metapersonal relationships, how you relate and learn and are shaped by the larger society, by the community, by the world. And your theopersonal relationship, that is your relationship with God. All these relationships are crucial in actually building up a solid, integral, complete, and meaningful identity for yourself. Nobody would be able to define who you are. Nobody would be able to dictate what kind of identity you have. It is in you already. And it's just really a matter of discovering, tapping, and unleashing that identity that is already seeded in you, planted in you, and you see now how it is growing in you. Whatever it is, whatever identity it is that is meant for you, embrace it. Live joyfully with it. Build your hopes around it. And then become an inspiration for others to actually become not only a good person, but a great person. And by a good person, we mean na maging mabuting tao ka at maging magaling ka. Kabutihan at kagalingan. These two need to be coupled for you to have a solid identity that is worth living. Whatever it is that is stored for you, whatever identity that is meant for you, cherish it, nourish it, love it, and share it. Thank you, everyone. It has been a season. Congratulations, Chewy
Yes,
and
thank you,
Jesse,
Father.
Thank you, Father.
and to our whole team, to our
Yeah.
technical director, Narcisa Aliaga, to our floor director and production assistant, Ramar Cabual, to our content producer, Lyra Mel Rodriguez. Guys, thank you so much. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Father.
Congratulations to all of us. We also thank NDBC
Yeah.
for
Father.
hosting us.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be
Teaser na ba
launching.
tayo?
Yes, we'll
Teaser.
be launching an inter-season,
Yeah.
and we'll be having youth talks with parents. So we'll be guesting parents for
Magulang,
in the next 6
Yeah.
episodes before we launch season 2 of the youth talks with guest youth. So we'll be seeing you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chewy and Jesse. Chewy and Jesse.
Thank you,
for
Father.
having me to do the synthesis.
Thank you,
It's
Father.
been a lovely, worthwhile evening with you. So we close now.
So, once again, see you next week. Thank you. It's 8:28 in the evening of Tuesday with Chewy
And Jesse
here at YouthTalks, where we go for gold. And we'll see you in our next episode.
Bye. See you in the next season.
Kabataan, you're your heart.